Let's be honest for a moment. In the realm of intimacy and connection between men and women, there are still territories filled with myths, confusion, and questions that most people are simply too afraid to ask. These aren't small, insignificant details. They are fundamental aspects of female psychology and biology that can completely change the way a man understands his partner and their shared experiences. When these questions go unanswered, they create a space for doubt and insecurity to grow, preventing a relationship from reaching its true potential for trust and closeness. One of the most powerful and misunderstood of these phenomena occurs at the peak of female arousal. It's an event that has been debated in forums and whispered about for decades, creating more confusion than clarity. You know what I'm talking about. It's often called squirting or female ejaculation. For years, the prevailing question has been a simple one. What is it really? The internet is locked in a constant argument with countless people claiming it's one thing, and just as many insisting it's something else entirely. Is it just urine, a simple biological function happening under pressure? Or is it a unique fluid, a sign of a different kind of climax? This fundamental uncertainty leads to the real question that brings us here today. It's the one that men are often the most hesitant to voice, a question that feels intensely personal and even taboo. Is it safe? Is it hygienic to ingest it? Or to put it directly, could it be harmful? If that thought has ever crossed your mind, you're in the right place. Because in this video, we are going to dismantle the myths and give you the direct science-based answer you've been looking for. No more guessing, no more awkwardness, and no more misinformation. We will explore the biology and the psychology behind this powerful event. And by the end, you will not only have your questions answered, but you will also hold a deeper understanding of the female experience. This is the kind of knowledge that doesn't just satisfy curiosity, it builds better, more connected, and more confident relationships. If you're ready for that, then let's begin. To settle the debate once and for all, let's get straight to the science. The fluid released during a female ejaculatory orgasm is not simply urine. While the confusion is understandable for reasons we'll get into, the biological reality is far more complex and fascinating. To truly grasp what this fluid is, we first need to look at its source, a part of the female anatomy that is rarely discussed, but is absolutely central to this experience. The skin glands located on the anterior wall of the vagina surrounding the lower end of the urethra. The skin glands are a network of tissue and ducts that are in many ways the female equivalent of the male prostate gland. In fact, they are often referred to in medical literature as the female prostate. This isn't just a casual comparison. During embryonic development, both the male prostate and the female skin glands originate from the same tissues. Just as the male prostate produces a fluid that becomes a key component of semen, the skin glands are designed to produce a fluid of their own. This is their primary biological function. So when a woman becomes highly aroused, these glands can become stimulated, particularly through the area commonly known as the G-spot, which is essentially the internal pleasure-sensitive part of the clitoral network that is accessible through the vaginal wall. At the peak of the stimulation, during an intense orgasm, these glands can release the fluid they have produced. This is female ejaculation. Now, the reason for the long-standing debate about whether it's pee or something else comes down to the chemical composition of the fluid itself and its pathway out of the body. Because the skin glands duct empty into or very near the urethra, the fluid passes through the same general channel that urine does. This proximity is the key to all the confusion. Scientific analysis of the fluid confirms this. Studies have shown that female ejaculate can and often does contain traces of urea and creatinine, which are the main waste components found in urine. This happens because as the ejaculatory fluid is being prepared for release, it can mix with small residual amounts of urine that may already be present in the urethra. But this is only a fraction of the story. Acknowledging the presence of urine traces is important for scientific honesty, but focusing on it misses the bigger picture entirely. The very same scientific analyses that identified those traces also discovered components that are definitively not found in urine, and that point to a completely different origin. First, the fluid contains Glucose, a type of sugar. This is significant because the kidneys work specifically to filter glucose out of the urine in a healthy individual. Its presence in the ejaculate indicates it's coming from a glandular secretion, not from the bladder. Second, and most importantly, is the discovery of prostate-specific antigen, or PSA. PSA is an enzyme created by prostatic tissue. In men, its function is to liquefy semen after ejaculation to help sperm move more freely. For decades, it was believed to be produced exclusively by the male prostate. However, extensive research has now proven that the skin's glands, the female prostate, also produce PSA. The presence of PSA in female ejaculate is the irrefutable biochemical proof that this fluid is not just urine. It is a true glandular secretion originating from these specialized prostatic tissues. You simply do not find PSA in urine. Therefore, what we're talking about is a unique complex bodily fluid. It's a secretion from the skin's glands that on its way out of the body may sometimes mix with trace amounts of urine in the urethra. It is not a sign of incontinence or a leaky bladder. So when we put all the evidence together, the verdict is clear. Female ejaculation is a distinct and natural physiological response to intense pleasure. It's a complex fluid purposefully created by the body for its own reasons, representing a specific type of orgasmic release that is entirely separate from urination. Understanding this fundamental biological fact is the first and most critical step in moving past the myths and into a place of genuine knowledge and appreciation. Now that we have a clear scientific understanding of what this fluid is, we can finally address the core question that brought you here. Is it safe to ingest? Does it pose a health risk? Let's get right to the heart of the matter. Based on everything we know from biology and urology, the direct science-backed answer is no. In a healthy individual, the fluid produced during female ejaculation is not harmful, poisonous, or toxic. It does not present a danger when ingested in the small quantities released during sex. From a purely biological and chemical standpoint, this makes perfect sense. As we discussed, the fluid is primarily composed of secretions from the skin's glands containing substances like glucose and PSA along with water. The human digestive system is incredibly robust. It is designed to break down a vast array of organic substances. The trace amounts of waste products like urea or creatinine that might be present are from a metabolic perspective insignificant. Your body processes far greater amounts of waste products internally every single hour of every day. Ingesting these minuscule quantities poses no challenge to your stomach or your kidneys. There is nothing inherently dangerous or unhealthy about the fluid itself. However, this no comes with a critical and non-negotiable condition. And this is the most important part of this entire discussion. The fluid is only as safe as the person it comes from. The real and only significant health risk involved is not from the fluid itself, but from the potential transmission of sexually transmitted infections, or STI. This is a crucial distinction that is often lost in the debate. The fluid itself is not the variable. The health of the person producing it is. If a woman has an STI such as chlamydia, gonorrhea, herpes, or HIV, there is a risk that the pathogen can be present in her bodily fluids, including her vaginal secretions and her ejaculatory fluid. In this context, ingestion would indeed be a route for transmission. But let's be perfectly clear, this risk is not unique to squirting. It is a fundamental reality of any form of unprotected sex. The exact same risk of STI transmission exists through contact with pre-ejaculatory fluid in men, with semen, with vaginal fluids during intercourse, and even for some infections through deep kissing. The conversation about safety, therefore, should not be centered on vilifying one specific natural bodily fluid. Instead, it should be centered on the health, trust, and communication within the relationship itself. This elevates the discussion from a simple biological question to a matter of relational responsibility. The real prerequisite for engaging in any intimate act, including this one, is trust. It's about having open and honest conversations about your sexual health and history. It's about both partners taking responsibility for their well-being, which includes regular STI testing. If you are not in a long-term mutually monogamous relationship, So when we remove the unfounded fears and look at the situation logically, the picture becomes very clear. If you are in a committed, healthy relationship, where both partners are free from STI, the act of ingesting this fluid is biologically safe. The primary barrier that remains is not a physical one, but a psychological one: the gross factor. This feeling of disgust or aversion is not a biological imperative. It is a socially conditioned response. It's the result of decades of misinformation, shame, and a general lack of education about female sexuality. We are conditioned to see some bodily fluids as acceptable and others as unclean, often without any scientific basis. The key to overcoming this is knowledge. By understanding that this fluid is a natural, clean product of her body's pleasure response, much like your own, you can begin to deconstruct that conditioned taboo and replace it with acceptance and appreciation. With a safety question firmly settled, we arrive at the next logical inquiry, one that's fueled by countless myths and claims circulating online. Are there any benefits to ingesting this fluid? This is where the line between scientific fact and wishful thinking often becomes blurred. You may have seen articles or posts claiming that female ejaculate is a kind of miraculous elixir, a superfood packed with nutrients that can improve health, boost performance, or even have anti-aging effects. Let's address this directly. From a scientific and nutritional perspective, the answer is a resounding no. There is absolutely no credible scientific evidence to support the idea that ingesting female ejaculate provides any direct physical health benefits. The fluid is composed of more than 99% water. The remaining components such as glucose, PSA, and trace minerals are present in such minuscule amounts that they have no nutritional or therapeutic value. The idea that it could act as a health supplement is pure fiction, a modern-day myth born out of the internet's tendency to sensationalize sexuality. It will not cure diseases. It will not make you stronger. And it will not grant you any special powers. So, if the physical benefits are a myth, does that mean there's no value in it at all? Not at all. In fact, this is where we uncover the most profound and transformative truth of this entire subject. The real, undeniable, and powerful benefit of embracing this aspect of your partner's sexuality is not physical. It is psychological and emotional. Think about the context in which this occurs. For many women, the ability to have an ejaculatory orgasm is linked to a state of profound relaxation, deep trust, and complete surrender. It often requires a level of comfort and security that allows her to let go of all inhibitions. For a man, his reaction in that moment is incredibly significant. If he reacts with confusion, disgust, or hesitation, it can instantly create a sense of shame or self-consciousness in his partner. That moment of vulnerability, if met with negativity, can cause her to close herself off, making such an experience less likely in the future. However, if his reaction is one of acceptance, enthusiasm, and even reverence, it sends a powerful and deeply affirming message. It communicates on a primal level: I accept all of you. I desire all of you. Nothing about your body or your pleasure is shameful to me. This act of radical acceptance is one of the most potent aphrodisiacs in existence. It validates her experience, honors her vulnerability, and demolishes the walls of shame that society often builds around female sexuality. This is not just about a single moment. It's about building a new dynamic in your relationship. When a woman feels completely and utterly accepted in her most vulnerable state, it fosters a level of trust that permeates every other aspect of your connection. She becomes more confident, more open to experimentation, and more willing to communicate her desires, knowing she is in a safe space, free from judgment. For the man, this act of acceptance is equally powerful. It moves him from being a passive observer to an active participant in her deepest pleasure. It is an act of devotion, a way of showing that her pleasure is not just important to him, but is something he cherishes and wants to be a part of. This transforms the sexual act from a purely physical exchange into a deeply intimate and emotionally resonant ritual. It strengthens the bond between partners in a way that few other things can. So, the true benefit lies not in the chemical composition of the fluid, but in the emotional significance of the act. It's about intimacy, trust, communication, and the complete and total acceptance of your partner. The greatest reward is the look of trust and connection in her eyes, the shared laughter and closeness that follows, and the knowledge that you have created a space where both of you are free to be your most authentic, uninhibited selves. That is a benefit that no pill or potion could ever hope to replicate. It's the psychological alchemy that turns a good relationship into a truly extraordinary one. And achieving that extraordinary connection requires both partners to be fully present, confident, and free from anxiety. We've talked about the importance of making her feel accepted. But there's another side to this. Your own confidence. For many men, worries about performance, not feeling as firm, full, or long-lasting as you used to, can become a massive psychological barrier, creating the exact kind of shame and distance we've been talking about breaking down. Because this is so critical to true intimacy, I want to briefly share a resource that thousands of men are finding genuinely life-changing. It's a short, eye-opening video that reveals a bizarrely simple 7-second natural home remedy that addresses the real root cause of male performance issues. It's about restoring that rock-solid, youthful confidence without pills or injections, so you can focus entirely on connecting with your partner. Point your phone's camera at the QR code on the screen right now to watch this private video. I've also pinned a link in the top comment below so you can check it out after you finish watching. This could be the key to unlocking that next level of confidence and intimacy we're all looking for. So, what can we take away from all of this? When we strip away the layers of social taboo, misinformation, and shame, the reality of female ejaculation becomes remarkably clear. What has long been treated as a mystery or a source of embarrassment is in fact a perfectly natural and psychologically significant part of human sexuality. First, we've established that the fluid is a complex biological secretion from the skin's glands, the female prostate, and is not simply urine. It is a distinct product of the female body created in response to intense pleasure and arousal. Second, we've answered the most pressing question with confidence. For healthy STI partners, ingesting this fluid is not harmful. The only real risk is the one inherent in any form of unprotected intimacy, the transmission of STI, which underscores the absolute necessity of open communication and trust in a relationship. Third, we've debunked the myth of physical benefits. It is not a magical health elixir. The true power of this experience is not nutritional, it's emotional. It's a profound act of acceptance and intimacy that can shatter inhibitions and forge an unbreakable bond of trust between partners. Ultimately, the journey from confusion to understanding is a journey from fear to freedom. It's about recognizing that for thousands of years, aspects of female sexuality have been misunderstood, ignored, or shamed into silence. But knowledge is the antidote to taboo. By equipping yourself with clear scientific facts, you replace judgment with curiosity and apprehension with appreciation. Whether or not this specific act is a part of your intimate life is a personal choice for you and your partner, and it doesn't have to be. But making that choice based on knowledge and respect rather than fear and myth is what truly matters. This understanding is about more than just a single biological function. It's about a willingness to see your partner completely, to honor her experiences, and to build a connection founded on unwavering acceptance. That is the kind of understanding that changes everything. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into a topic that deserves clarity and respect. If you found this information valuable and want to continue challenging taboos with facts, make sure to subscribe. Share this video with someone you think could benefit from it, and let's continue the conversation. Thank you for watching.